So who are you and where you come from?
My name is Incha Incha Kin Sukanakil Nathan Pesquaus Nath Methau. My name is John Sirois. I'm a citizen of the Colville Confederated tribes. I was born, raised here in Omak on the reservation. And yeah, this area that we're next to is the Columbia River that is the source of our salmon. One of our four chiefs that we talk about, our first foods: salmon, bitterroot, sarviceberry, and the four-legged, the bear. So, growing up, I was fortunate enough to learn from a lot of my elders, from my grandmother, about when you go out and collect these things, whether you're fishing or digging roots or getting berries, offer up something and offer up a song to them so that they recognize you. You introduce yourself with your language, and for me, that's who I am, and that's how I connect to this land and to this water. Every time I come down here to fish or other fishing places along the Columbia River, it's always a really good reminder of my place in this cycle of life. That's what when they talk about Tamahula, like this area is, instead of Mother Earth, it's actually the cycle of life that's present here in this area. So,
How is climate change affecting your connection to the land, and what should people know about?
climate change has affected every aspect of our traditional culture. All of our roots, our berries, our salmon runs. We see things arriving earlier or later. It's just not the same way that our ancestors remember it. Like each season, each month has a different food or a different root that's ready. And during those times, we have like a feast. We call it a kapumchinim, a feast for that being, whether it's intiti, the salmon, or the bitterroot, spetlum. And it's so important that when you do that, you're acknowledging their gift that they're giving to you. And in return, you have to make sure that you honor them, you respect them, you sing that song, but you also reconnect yourself to that cycle of life that's here, right? Mm-hmm. And what I've seen, and what a lot of our people have seen in going out to dig roots or the salmon runs, they're behind like 2 or 3 weeks than what they normally are. And it's really because they're trying to time themselves with this changing climate that's happening, the water systems, the runoff that's happening, and how they are really fighting to find a way to continue to come up and really do what they've done for time immemorial, to come back and reconnect with us. For us, that's the first treaty that was established between us and those beings. And they said, we'll be here, we'll feed you, you can take our bodies, but we just ask that you also in turn offer up a song, have a dinner, and honor that gift that we're giving you. And when you take that gift, share it amongst your people, share it so that everybody can enjoy that gift. And the timing of climate change has thrown off a lot of those berry feasts and those first salmon ceremonies. They're changing with the water system, so it can be a challenge. Traditionally, you're supposed to be ready when those activities happen. So when the salmon are running, you got to go down to the river and fish. When the roots are ready, you go down there. So it's been a challenge for a lot of our elders. Are like, man, the roots, they're ready, and they're going out there, and they're like, they only have like a week, when usually we had like a month to dig roots. The timing is shrinking.
In educating the educators, what do you think is important for faculty and community colleges to know about working with traditional ecological knowledge as a barometer for climate change?
Oh, that's a really good question, because I think our educators, in bringing in those stories, those creation stories, and the knowledge combined with our fisheries biologists and our wildlife biologists, combining those stories will give those educators a much greater depth in what those students are going to experience and what what they can learn about all of these different species that they're working on, right? Those traditional stories are so important. Even within our within our cultures, within our populations, we have fewer and fewer elders that are passing on this knowledge, right? So it's important that our students that go through these programs at their schools, they need to see that information included into what they're studying, so it means more to them. What I've seen over the last 10 or 15 years, including that information, is meaning a lot more to like land trusts and other people that are working on conservation. They're getting a lot out of what it really means to be a steward. It's not just drawing a boundary around a piece of land and say, nobody touch this. It's actually being involved with that land and utilizing some of those traditional techniques, whether it's through fire or just being involved, whether it's digging roots. That's much more meaningful to them. So I sit on a couple of boards and you know, they're like, can we talk about this? Let's set aside an hour because we want to talk about this. So bring it in, and that's a great way to start off a conversation about what it means to be a good steward. You know, how do you, as individual people, how can we do this together? And I think in a lot of ways, when you look at the numbers of climate change, everything's going up, temperatures and water regimes are shifting, and it can feel at times a little bit like just helpless situation, like this is a freight train running out of control, but every little step might be that next step that helps slow it down, that helps us regain balance. And that's another, I guess, key component within our traditional stories. It's about being in balance. When you go down and fish for salmon or take roots, you only take what you need. You only take what you need to feed your family and to, you know, give some to your elders. You're supposed to be, what's the word? Well, you're not supposed to be stingy with those gifts, right? So it's important to be respectful of that gift. And in doing so, you know, you show that being that the respect that it needs, and you bring forth its voice in that future decision matrix of like, what do we need to do for salmon? We know, you know, those salmon runs are starting to change their timing, and how can we help in that process? So it's really important. I think educators are looking for new ways to reach out to students, but also find new meaning in what they're teaching as well. And I found that people that I've talked to, they really enjoy that. They enjoy hearing those stories because it brings those two worlds together, right?